Imagine waking up every morning knowing that no matter how hard you work, how much you save, or how many hours you put in, you will never truly own your future. Your paycheck arrives, but a slice of it is already gone. Rent, loans, taxes, interest. You're working, but not really for yourself. You're working for debt. This isn't an accident. It isn't just bad luck or personal mismanagement. It's by design. Governments, banks, and entire financial systems are built to keep you locked inside an invisible prison. A cycle of endless borrowing that you can never fully escape. Most people believe debt is just a tool. Something you take on temporarily. A mortgage, a car loan, student debt. But in reality, debt is the most profitable business model ever invented, and governments are its biggest supporters. Why? Because debt gives them power. Power over economies. Power over citizens. Power over the future. Look closely and you'll see it everywhere. A young American graduates college and starts life with $40,000 in student debt before they've earned a single dollar. A family buys a house believing it's theirs, but spends 30 years paying a bank double the price in interest. A nation borrows trillions, promising its children will pay it back, but they never do. And behind all of this, governments quietly encourage the cycle. They borrow themselves, they subsidize lending, they protect the banks, and they build a world where the system only works if you never stop owing. This is the story of why governments want you trapped in endless debt, not because they want you free, but because they need you dependent. To understand why governments love debt, you need to see it for what it really is, a tool of control. Debt isn't just about money owed. It's about obedience. When you owe, you comply. You work harder. You don't question authority. You don't risk rebellion, because you can't afford to lose the income you need to pay. Governments figured this out centuries ago. Kings borrowed from merchants to fund wars. The merchants demanded repayment, and the kings taxed their citizens to deliver it. Whole societies were bound to debt. It wasn't just financial, it was political. In modern times, the U.S. government perfected the model. Instead of raising taxes directly, it borrows. That borrowing turns into treasury bonds, which investors and foreign governments buy. Citizens are told the system is safe, but the debt must still be serviced, and the cost lands on the public, through inflation, taxes, or reduced services. The cycle is brilliant. Citizens work harder to pay off their own debts, while their labor also services the nation's debt. The system extracts twice. And because debt is normalized, everyone has a mortgage, everyone has student loans, no one questions it. Governments even encourage borrowing because it ties people to the system. A homeowner with a 30-year mortgage is less likely to riot. A graduate with student loans is less likely to take risks. A worker with credit card bills is more likely to stay in a job they hate. Debt keeps people predictable, manageable, and obedient. That's why governments don't just tolerate endless debt. They want it. Governments are the biggest debt junkies of all. The U.S. national debt is over $30 trillion, a number so large it's almost meaningless. But here's the truth. Governments don't want to pay it off. They can't. Instead, they want it to grow. Because debt fuels spending. Spending fuels votes, and votes keep them in power. When governments borrow, they create money that didn't exist before. That money flows into the economy. Welfare checks, military contracts, infrastructure, bailouts. People feel wealthier, even if it's an illusion. Politicians get credit for stimulating growth. The debt grows, but no one notices until the interest bill arrives. And when it does, governments don't cut spending. They borrow more to pay the interest. It's a spiral with no end. Central banks make it possible. By keeping interest rates low, they make debt cheap. When crises hit, they print even more, ensuring governments can always roll over debt. It's like giving an addict unlimited access to the drug that's killing them. The cruel irony is that citizens ultimately pay. Inflation eats their savings. Taxes rise. Services decline. But the government keeps borrowing, because in the short term, it keeps the machine running. Debt isn't a problem to be solved. For governments, it's the system itself. 50 years ago, being in debt was shameful. Families avoided it. People paid cash. Governments preached thrift. But today, debt is marketed as freedom. Credit cards, student loans, mortgages, all sold as opportunities. This normalization wasn't accidental. Banks, corporations, and governments worked together to make debt socially acceptable. Ads promised the American dream through credit. Schools taught students that loans were investments in the future. Governments subsidized borrowing through guarantees and bailouts. Slowly, debt stopped being a burden and became a way of life. Everyone has it. No one questions it. And once it's normal, people stop asking, why is the system designed this way? Who benefits? The answer is simple: those at the top. The banks collect interest, the government collects obedience, and the people pay. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Debt is the modern form of slavery. In ancient times, slaves were bound by chains. Today, they're bound by contracts. The effect is the same: endless labor to service someone else's wealth. Think about it. A person spends decades paying off a mortgage, only to hand over more in interest than the house was worth. A graduate spends 20 years paying loans that financed a degree that's already outdated. Credit card holders pay interest rates higher than any medieval moneylender could dream of. And governments? They want this, because debt slavery is cleaner than chains. It keeps people docile, working, consuming, believing they are free, while their freedom is mortgaged away. This is why governments love debt. Not because it helps citizens, but because it ensures citizens will never escape. It's not just individuals. Nations themselves are trapped. Developing countries borrow from the IMF and World Bank, told it's for development. But the loans come with conditions: austerity, privatization, foreign control. Countries spend decades paying interest, never escaping. Even wealthy nations aren't free. The US needs China to buy its debt. Europe depends on the European Central Bank. The entire global financial system is a web of mutual debt, where no one can escape without collapsing the whole. This is why governments everywhere defend the system. Debt isn't a bug, it's the feature. It ensures no one, citizen or nation, is truly independent. If governments want you in debt, what's the way out? First, recognize the game. Debt is designed to trap you. Once you see it, you stop playing blindly. Second, build real assets. Gold, land, skills, networks, things no government can inflate away. These are the tools that helped individuals survive every past collapse. Third, understand the cycle. Governments will not stop borrowing. Inflation will not stop eroding. Crises will keep coming. The only question is whether you will be a victim or prepared. History shows that debt destroys empires as surely as it destroys individuals. Rome fell, Spain fell, Britain fell. America is drowning in trillions. The cycle always ends the same. But you don't have to. While governments want you trapped in endless debt, knowledge gives you the key to unlock the chains. Because true freedom isn't granted. It's taken. And the first step is escaping the trap they built for you.